Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Riding of Yorkshire series. Together with the unparished city of Hull, it forms the county of the same name. There's 172 parishes here. Which one are we in today? Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire, everybody. Now, I've just driven from Lonsborough down a very bumpy, very windy, not a very nice road, if I'm being honest with you, but it was worth it because I've ended up in this place with this gorgeous little church. How about this? This is the Church of St Giles, and you'll find this in a place called Burnby, which is the smaller of the two villages which make up the parish of Hayton. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Hayton is situated approximately 2 miles away from Pocklington and 4.5 miles northwest of Market Weighton in the East Riding of Yorkshire. This is another one which has very sparse information about it out there, but I think I found some good bits. The village is just off the A1079, the former Roman road from Brough to York, at the foot of the East Yorkshire Wolds escarpment. Hayton was once an outlying estate, or berewick, of Pocklington. It's one of two villages in this parish, the other being Burnby. There's also a small hamlet with a Roman connection, Thorpe le Street. Although the civil parish's name is officially Hayton, its parish council is styled Hayton and Burnby Parish Council. In 1935, Burnby and Thorpe le Street parish was abolished and merged with Hayton. There are two churches, one in each of the two main villages. There's an equestrian centre, a shop and a petrol station. There's also a popular pub, hotel and restaurant. Hayton's best feature though would undoubtedly be its countryside. You're surrounded here by beautiful rolling hills to the east and by a flat open valley to the west. It's nothing to be sniffed at. Let's get walking once again here in the East Riding. We begin in Burnby at the beautiful little church of St Giles, situated at the village's western end. This is one of the 7 churches in the Pocklington group, which also includes St Martin's at Hayton. That's coming later. There's no mention of a church in Burnby in the Domesday Book. There's no definitive date for this church either, but the present structure must have been built soon after the Norman conquest. It first appears in records in 1288. Over the centuries, the church has been modified on many occasions. Perhaps one of its most interesting alterations came in the late 1960s, when the stone slabs on its roof were replaced with Cornish slate. The stone was too heavy, and with cracks appearing in the walls, it was feared the church could collapse. This situation was aggravated all the more by a bomb which had been dropped on the nearby railway line during World War II. A nice little church, that to start this one off. There was a nice handy little leaflet in there which told me a few things about the church, and I imagine I've just told you what's in that leaflet in the voiceover. So there you go. If you want to come to Burnby and explore St Giles, now you know all about it. Right, let's walk around the village then. Like I said, there are 2 villages in the parish of Hayton, and this one obviously is the smaller one. So you get 2 Strava maps today, and this one is a very circular affair. It's basically just like a little loop which will take me about 10 minutes, a bit like Lely when we covered the Elsternwick part of this county. So yeah, let's walk around this and then we'll head off to Hayton to see what's there. The rest of Burnby is delightful, and I don't use that phrase much. It consists of a collection of detached houses mainly, a lot of which are quite grand. This is Long Hill, which, if followed, will take you to Nunburnholme. This is the Burnby Equestrian Centre, located at the Granary. This is a riding school and hacking centre. I had to look up the term hacking. It apparently means pleasure riding and originates from Hackney in London, hence the name. Off Long Hill is Back Lane. This impressive building flying the Ukrainian flag is Burnby Grange. This is the base of Burnby Farms, owned by the Nicholsons. It may come as no surprise to you that Burnby's main industry is farming. Having said that, if you drive out here, you might well encounter another type of industrial activity. It's not uncommon to see lorries passing through the village from Burnby Quarry, which sits on a hillside above the village. So you'll notice from this parish notice board that the parish council goes by the name of Hayton and Burnby, not just Hayton. That's the name of the council, not the name of the actual civil parish. There are 2 different things. We've covered that before. And there's also a Georgian postbox next to that parish notice board. Look, GR, the regular G, not the fancy G. So that is George V. That's when that one was installed. With a value resembling a telephone number, in the centre of the village is the old rectory, hiding behind these trees. It's a much extended 18th century house, which dominates the junction of Back Lane and Long Hill. Turning left takes us to a bridge, which crosses a stream. This is known as Hayton Beck at this point, but further upstream it's called Burnby Beck. Where the name changes, I'm not sure, but check out that crystal clear water. And at that point we turn around to make our way back to the church. Other than the church, Burnby has no amenities of note. However, it used to. Just beyond the church is the village's old post office. And on the road to Hayton is a former railway station. When the York to Beverley line was a thing, Nunburnholme station was operational between 1847 and 1951. The station building still stands and it's now residential. That was quite delightful actually. Nice and flat, not very big. Took me about, what, 20 minutes? Nice village. I would easily live here. Absolutely I would. Let's go and see what Hayton's like, shall we? Okay, so here we are in the centre of Hayton. And this is on a road we're familiar with, the A1079. If you go that way, that takes you towards Barnby Moor and towards York. So yeah, we're used to seeing this road. Most of this walk though will not focus on the road because most of the village is over this way to the east of it. There's a nice little car parking space in the middle of the village too, this little green area, which is where I've parked the car. I don't think this is going to take me very long, but it will take me longer than what Burnby did because it's a bit bigger village. It's not there's not too much in it. So we'll walk around this and then we'll take a drive firstly down here where there's a shop and a petrol station, and then down that road over there, that's Beelby Lane, and that will take us towards my next village in the East Riding series. So let's go. We start the main village at Hayton Village Green, a circular patch of grass which houses the parish notice board. One thing I learned pretty quickly about Hayton in my research was that here there's a strong community spirit. For example, there's many an event at the very active village hall. Also this year, the green was decked out with a fantastic display for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. I found photographic evidence of that, which I'll show you later. This is Town Street, which has most of the village's properties. Hayton is generally linear in its makeup, running northeast from the A1079 into the Wolds. It's got a nice selection of housing, some new, some old, and everything in between. One of the oldest is the vicarage, on a bend in the road towards St Martin's Church. Strangely, the vicarage is not a listed building, but the associated church, of course, is. St Martin's was designated a Grade 1 listed building in 1967. And of course, where you find a vicarage, the chances are you're also going to find a church. Aha. 2 for the price of 1 today then. So you've had the church in Burnby. Now this is St Martin's in Hayton. Let's check this one out. It's a bit bigger. In 2002, St Martin's was awarded an English Heritage Grant, which allowed for the repair of its tower and external stonework. It was also used to repair and rehang one of its 3 bells, which had been stored in the church for some 96 years. Speaking of the bells, bell ringers from North Cave visit here twice a month. Its porch was renovated in 1981, something which is commemorated inside it by this wooden tablet. It was renovated in memory of a former church warden. Much of the building is 14th century with Victorian restorations, but its history stretches back to the 1100s. The College of St Mary and the Holy Angels in York, which was later known as St Sepulchre's, was given this church in its endowment by Archbishop Roger de Pont l'Evêque between 1154 and 1161. Inside there are several 12th century features, including a simple round-headed arch and a plain doorway off the chancel. Here's a fun fact too, this church was formerly dedicated to St Peter. So that's at pretty much the end of the village. You've got Manor House Farm here on the other side of the road, and a few other properties on the left too, called Church View. And speaking of views, if I just walk on a little bit more, I've got the absolutely amazing view of the East Yorkshire Wolds here, an absolutely amazing view, I'm telling you now. This shot probably will not do it much justice, if I'm being honest, because it's too far away, but certainly if you stand where I'm standing, you do get this fabulous vista, and it's just amazing. Right, let's turn around and head back. There's a few things that I purposely didn't catch on the way up to the church because I want to talk about them on the way back. One of those things is Hayton's Village Hall. This is a former village school, which was built in 1854 for W.H. Rudston Reed, who was then Lord of the Manor. It's one of only 2 listed buildings in the village, and 4 in total in Hayton Parish. However, it's not the only old school building in Hayton, as we'll discover shortly. Next to it we see the gates of Mill Farm, which might not look much, but Mill Farm itself is the most expensive property in Hayton, valued at well over £2 million. A few paces further back towards the A1079 and we see the other building with educational connections. This is the old schoolhouse according to its nameplate, but unlike the village hall, I was unable to find anything about it. Similarly, there wasn't much about this either, but at least it's a bit more obvious. Off Town Street is Chapel Court, a private road containing some new builds. These presumably stand where a chapel once used to. And on the corner here we've got Mr. Chu, the village Chinese restaurant, which is also the Plough Inn. It says at the top there, restaurant, hotel, public house. It's kind of an all-in-one kind of thing. Oh, it's very nice, that. Wouldn't mind trying it out one time. I like a Chinese. Okay, let's wander on to the A1079. I've opted, I think, to walk to the petrol station because I think it's within walking distance. So we'll carry on walking for now. We'll not bother driving this part, like I said earlier. We'll head down to the petrol station and the shop, and then walk back, pick up the car, and head down that road there. The Plough Inn is the village local, and Mr. Chu's is the village's Chinese restaurant, which is well renowned in the local area. It's a popular hotel too. People often stay here because it's within easy reach of York. Up the A1079 now, which crosses over Hayton Beck again. This has considerably widened since we last saw it. This flows downhill before eventually becoming Missick Beck and then Bealby Beck, ending up in the waters of the Pocklington Canal. Also along here there's a bus stop. The same services which run through Shipton Thorpe can be caught here. A quick reminder, those are the numbers 45, 46, X46 and X47. And that brings us to the petrol station and the shop at the southernmost extremity of the village. Beyond this is Thorpe le Street and an interesting looking wind turbine, which I'm about to show you in today's Picture Bit. You might have already spotted my mistake. I was actually wanting to drive down this road, Everingham Lane, and not Beelby Lane. Beelby has already been covered, of course. Both roads, though, are typical East Riding in nature. There's not really anything of note up here, if I'm totally honest, except a farm on the left just as we leave civilization. I do hope you've enjoyed this one. This one was quite a hard one to cover. There's very little to go on about this one anywhere on the internet. That said, it's been nice to have a wander through two villages I knew nothing about, and I've enjoyed the East Riding countryside once again. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the Parish of Hayton, and I'm out.